Hello one and all, and welcome to the first of my Skaven build diary. Now I agonised for a while about where to really start with this, because I don't want to assume anybody's knowledge, and you might be an old hand who's just curious to know how I'm going to go about doing some Skaven, or you might be completely new to the game and want to know where to get started with Age of Sigmar. So I figure I'd rather err on the side of giving you too much information, and you can pick out what you'd like and what you need to know. So I'm going to start off first of all by very briefly touching on the rules. So concerning the rules, there are three main places you can get the rules. There are a couple of others, but we'll touch on those later on. I'll mention them in passing. First off, the rules themselves. Now they're a little pamphlet, they're 4 pages long, and you can download those from the website. They are free. Now the reason why they're so small is that they interact with the War Scrolls. Now, War Scrolls are unit cards, essentially, which give you the rules and sort of interactive bits and pieces that work for a certain unit. So, a unit of Chaos Warriors has a War Scroll, and so on and so forth. Now, they're available either online, you can go onto the web store, and any Age of Sigmar unit, if you click in the drop-down for rules, you'll get a complete PDF, which is ace. It's really cool to be able to just go online and check what a unit does before you think about whether or not you want to drop the cash on it. That's quite handy. The other place you can go to for these, both the rules and the War Scrolls, is the Age of Sigmar app for your phone or tablet. Now that's on the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. That is free, and you can just download the War Scrolls as you need. It's a fantastic bit of kit. Now that covers the rules. Now for my army, I want to build it for a method called matched play. Now what that is, when you're playing Age of Sigmar, theoretically you can just throw whatever you want on the table. And that's actually been quite a bit of fun. We've had a laugh with that, but it's not very structured. And matched play is sort of more what most people are familiar with, where you and your opponent build an army with a framework, in this case points, like most games. And you've then got an idea that these two armies will be roughly equal to one another, and that helps ensure a fair game with maybe a new player or somebody you've not met before, or whatever you want to approach it. Okay, so I'm going to go for a matched play army. Now that means I need a third source of rules, and that is the General's Handbook. Now in there is not just points values for all of the models that are out there, but there's some other ways of playing, there's some cool campaign ideas, it's a really handy thing. One of the cool things it's got is what are called Grand Alliance abilities, and those are going to come in dead handy for me because my rats will need all the help they can get. Now it is worth briefly touching on, if you're just looking for the points values, you don't strictly need the General's Handbook, because you can go on to Warhammer Community, and there is a War Scroll builder there. And all you need to do is just add in the units that you want to take, and it will tell you how many points they are. So you've got your free rules, you've got your free War Scrolls from the website, and then you use the War Scroll builder, and you can build the points of an army. I still think the General's Handbook is definitely worth picking up. It's full of cool stuff. But let's concentrate on where I'm going to get started. Now I'm going to do Skaven because I think rats are really cool. The Skaven belong to the Chaos Grand Alliance, and there are 4 of those. You've got Chaos, Order, Death, and Destruction. So Order's not necessarily having the best time of it. Now what this means is on each of the War Scrolls you'll have a set of keywords down the bottom. Now every War Scroll has these. Some, for example, will have more than others. But I want to touch on these because these do affect how you're going to build an army for matched play. Now as you can see here, I've got my handy dandy, this is a little booklet of War Scrolls from Spire of Dawn, but again, you can print these out. If we look here at the keywords for my Skaven Warlord, he starts off with Chaos. Now Chaos means obviously he's a Chaos model. He is a part of the Chaos Grand Alliance. Life is good if you're a bad guy. Second of all, he's got Skaven. Now that's another allegiance keyword. This is something that I think 40k has done a little bit more elegantly, where they have faction keywords and normal keywords as well. But they're all on the one line here. That's okay, we can work with that. So we know that he is Chaos Army, he's a Chaos model, and he's a Skaven model too. Now what this means is that theoretically I could do an army where I have Skaven clan rats, Chaos warriors, demons or what have you, and if they all share the Chaos keyword, then I have a Chaos army. And I can use the abilities that are local to the Chaos Grand Alliance from the General's Handbook. And that's pretty cool. That means you've got a lot of freedom in how you want to build these things. But because I want to stick to Skaven, what interests me is that second Skaven allegiance. Now in the case of the Warlord here, his next line is Verminous. And Verminous is another faction keyword, okay? Because if we have a look at one of the other War Scrolls, for example, the Rat Ogres, their keywords go Chaos, Skaven, and Moulder. Now Moulder are one of the great clans of the Skaven, and that means if I was to dip even further down and only take models that have the Moulder keyword, then I have a Clan Moulder army. Now, let's flip things around and finally get a look at some models. And I'll go a little bit further into that from here. So here for my army is the story so far. Here's what I've got. I've gone ahead and assembled a Skaven Warlord. I've got a unit here of 20 clan rats. They've got rusty hand weapons. More clan rats with rusty spears. I need to assemble another 10 of them. And I've got some storm vermin back here. They've got the halberds. They're pretty cool. I've also got one Storm Fiend who isn't quite finished yet, and I need to build the rest of his unit. But this is where I am at the moment, and it helps me illustrate my point. Now, in front of me at the moment, I have 4 units which all share Chaos, Skaven, and Verminous as their keywords. But my Storm Fiend here is Chaos, Skaven, Scryer. So, strictly speaking, this can only be a Skaven army. Now, why that's important is when we get into building an army for matched play, using the rules in the General's Handbook, there are troops that are called battle line. Now, what a battle line unit is will probably be familiar to 40k players, in that it's like troops. You must have, for an army of a certain size, X number of battle line units. So, for example, with my Skaven army, I'm going to build my army to 1,000 points. And that means I need 2 battle line? I might actually need 3. I need to double check that rule. But in any case, your battle line troops are normally models that are common to the army. You know, they give it that flavor. They are your bulk monsters. Now, in the case of the Skaven, my clan rats are battle line units. So I've got that sorted. As far as what I need to make an army, I have 1, 2, and I believe the Storm Vermin might be battle line 2. I'll need to double check. A lot of that is me learning. So I've got the core of what is required for my army. What I'm going to build next, I'm going to build a Doom Wheel, I'm going to build a Rattling Gun team, you know, I'm going to have some fun really bulking this out and finishing off this unit of Storm Fiends, for example. Now, why I bring up battle line units and faction keywords is because, I know it's a lot at once, there's a big info dump here, but if, for example, all of my models had the Scryer keyword, so instead of just going to Skaven as my faction, I dip down further and I go to Clan Skyra. So I take a Warlock Engineer as my army leader instead. So if all of my models share the Scryer keyword, then I have a Scryer army. And what happens then, is that this dude becomes battle line. And that's how you start getting some of the flavor into the armies. So again, I totally recommend picking up the General's Handbook. It's got a ton of cool stuff in there. And one of them is these neat ways of building your armies to face off against one another. So I'm going to stick these guys together, and they're going to be red, is going to be their clan color. Because I'm going to go for Clan Moors. Now, Moors in the Skaven army, they are one of the Warlord clans. And a Warlord clan refers to one of these blokes who's kind of gathered, cajoled, bribed, and otherwise secured the loyalty of a fairly broad coalition of monsters, okay? So it means you get a lot of options. So I'm going to have the Storm Fiends. See, everything is Storm. I could be playing a Khorne army, and then everything would be bloody blood, gore, blood, murder, and all that, but skull blood! Friggin' Chaos armies, man. Anyway, I want a Skaven army with a little bit of everything, because I think they look cool. So when these guys get painted up, I'm gonna have a bit of fun. So that's really where I'm starting from. Like I said, a fair bit of talking this time around, and not a lot of doing. But hopefully something in there was kind of interesting, or maybe just useful to you. Starting out again in Age of Sigmar has been kind of a trip for me, and it's been exciting in a lot of ways, getting advice from people and really seeing where I want to go with this. The core of my infantry are assembled. I might have another few of these guys to put together, but next up comes all the cool stuff. So what I'm going to do next will be an actual build video. I'm going to go ahead and try and put together Doomwheel with an audience. So if there's any cursing in the next video, you might forgive me that. As ever, guys, you can get in touch, drop a comment down there in the YouTube box, or my Facebook and Twitter are both linked there too. And like always, thank you very much for your time. You guys enjoy the rest of your day.